Hi Carson, my name is Madison. I decided to review your narrative assignment because I thought you have a lot of interesting concepts and it's kind of a neat idea. So I thought it would be interesting to do that. Sorry if you hear any dogs snoring or noises in the background. They kind of just do what they want. I've given up on trying to control them. But to get into the piece to start off with, I think overall, just doing a general scroll, you have a very clear theme here. It's almost an odd psychedelic trip that you and your friends take. I think you have a lot of interesting photos and a lot of interesting framing. For instance, the celery stick while holding a chip bag is a very odd way to pose objects, but you've done it in such a way that it definitely conveys the idea that this is out of the norm and it's almost alarming to see these two things together. I also like the use of imagery and food. There's a bit of comedy in all of these. I like the time that you obviously took to do this. I don't know if it's ironic or intentional that you're holding appears to be a healthcare card while trying to snort onions at a dining room table. I think the framing and the idea and the thought process behind your images is just impeccable, and I think you have obviously taken a lot of time to frame these. I could definitely see the effort that you put into this piece. I think, for instance, this was one that caught my attention, the beer into the flowers. Something full of life, putting what a lot of people assume life draining onto. And there's a lot of different metaphors that you could pull from all of this. I think your framing and your use of light in several of these images, like this one with the shadows in the background, the light in the foreground. Also, I like how none of these images look incredibly forced. You definitely had a far more willing participant than I did in mine. So, I mean, like, I can tell that this took a lot of work and there was a lot of thought that was put into this. I think it's really cool what you've done in terms of this piece, and I think it's very neat. My only critique at the end is I feel like you take your really consistent, cool theme and it gets lost in some of these latter pictures. I like the editing though, on some of the newer ones. This photo, I don't know why it makes me laugh, but it does. I feel like that photo in particular, these two here, the group photos, kind of negate from your theme because there's not an exact tie-in to the rest of it, which is okay. It's still a great image, and I like how you've tied it in through the editing, and I think it's interesting to see the before and after. I think the black and white is a cool aspect, but I almost wonder if potentially making the rest of the background black and white would have been better versus the subjects. I think it's an interesting take, though. This is one of my favorite edited images. I don't know why. I think it's the fact that you have somehow managed to maintain a sense of normality in this image despite how shockingly wrong it is through the use of editing. So there's not too much black and white. It's not offset to the point where it looks alarming. This is another example of how you've been able to make it look like it could be a normal photo, but then you look at it again and you see the blurred out aspects or the more subdued aspects that are black and white. Overall, I think you did a great job. I think you have a ton of unique concepts here. It's definitely an amazing piece, and I had a lot of fun looking through the images. So yeah, great job. I can't wait to see what your final narrative piece ends up looking like.